Hey guys, it's Drew here, and I'm here to make a video finally. Now I'm settled in my new house. I'm not really sure whether I'm going to do the 31 days of tarot challenge, simply because I'm absolutely exhausted, and I may do some on Instagram, I may make some videos, but it's definitely not going to be like from day 1 to 31. Like, I'm just not there. I would like to use my time to write and get my serial back on track and do my budgeting so I can pay my copy editor and all those kind of things that are my priority this year in terms of work and my spiritual practice and things like that. So if you see any videos, that will be good. That means I've had a relaxing day and I have time. And if not, then you can probably check some of my pictures out on Instagram. I'll leave my link below. Don't know how long this video is going to last, so I will get straight into it, but I thought that I would just go through, like, make 2 videos and just show my current tarot collection and my current oracle collection, because I have sold a lot of them off and I'm sort of wanting to look at them and see whether there's any more that I would like to get rid of, because I really want to set this year up with an intentional purpose of why I'm using these decks. So we will see. I have limited space, so, and I know that I'd probably want to be bringing in some new decks later on this year, and that's going to need space for that. So cool, let's get started. So I'll just go with the bags first. I ended up buying a shit ton of these bags when I moved, because I had to pack them all up, and a lot of my decks are like kits and they don't have their boxes anymore, and so these little bags were much easier. And so the first deck that I have is the Green Witch Tarot. I won't show you too many cards or anything because you guys can check that out, but I'm pretty sure you've already seen this deck before. A lot of these decks that I'll show you are pretty new. I haven't talked about them yet, so I'm looking forward to doing Top Deck Tuesdays again to go through that. So I got the Green Witch. I have the Raven Prophecy deck, and I really want to actually read the Raven Boys trilogy this year, because I do like Maggie Stiebotter's writing, but I didn't like the Shiva series. I thought that was really crap, to be honest. TBH. Then I have the Wizard's Tarot, which I am considering giving away. I'm not giving away, like swapping. I have actually been considering swapping it for pretty much a year, but I really love the guidebook, but I think I'm ready to let go of it, to be honest. So we'll see. Now that I've got the Green Witch Tarot, I think that I might do a week also where I compare the 2 of them and see whether there's something that I can get out of both of them together, or whether they're worth swapping, because I don't really need 10,000 pagan decks, to be honest, because it's just too many. Like, you can only do so much with so many decks. And so then I've got the Revelations Tarot, and weirdly enough, like, for some reason this wants to be worked with a lot with I don't know whether it's because of the connection with the word revelations, but it definitely wants to be work with ancestral work and things around heavy with religion and shadow work around religious stuff. So that's interesting. I sort of had a couple of weeks there where I was playing with 1 or 2 cards with this, considering getting rid of it, but then it sort of wants to be delved into, so we'll see how that goes in 2016. 2016? I ain't going back. 2016 was a shit year for me, and also a blessing. Then I have the Tarot of the Hidden Realm, which, if you've seen my videos, I think I used it for the Seeds of Creation week. I want to do that again because this definitely helped me with my path working. It was very challenging confronting the fact that there's just mostly people or fae on the cards, because last year I definitely worked a lot with my fears around the fae, my fears around fairy folk and that kind of elemental energy. So that deck was like a godsend for me. Of course I have my druid. Could never get rid of my druid craft. It's my base deck. Can't wait to take that out again. Try and speed through these because there's quite a lot. Another recent purchase, which I was in the shop and I thought I can either get the Green Witch today or I can get something different because I wanted to challenge myself. And I saw the steampunk tarot there. I'd seen a couple of pictures and I was like, you know, I don't know how I'm gonna work with it. Like, steampunk's not entirely my thing. But I picked it up anyway, and I've been working with it ever since, and it's like fastly becoming one of my favourite decks. Because it doesn't that always happen? You know, you pick up a deck and you're like, it's okay, I like some of the stuff. And then you start working with it and it's like, holy shit. I am so glad I bought it. It's also been very good for speculative fiction writing. Even though I'm working on the serial novella and working on my novel, which is in space, it still has that you know, fantasy speculative fiction feel, but also brings some sort of different clothing and energy and different kind of era technology into it as well, which makes me think broadly about how I'm creating the ship that I'm creating as well, and how that reflects the time. And I think this is a very good deck for time related issues. Okay, so I will leave the vampire. I'll try to show it now. You guys, you know, I love this deck. This is my, I'm getting the, oh my god, Fairy Enchantment Oracle deck. That should be coming in January. I have been waiting for so long, as people I imagine who have already purchased it through Kickstarter have as well. I cannot wait because I think it's going to go absolutely amazing with this deck. And I'm going to keep this deck out because I feel like I need to work through some backlash of 2016, which is always fun. Okay, so the rest of the decks I have here are basically box decks, and one is in a bag. So I've got my Fothy. I sort of use it at the start of the year. I'm sort of in a love-hate relationship with it at the moment. I just don't think I'm meant to be using it at the moment. I finally got the Meta Barons tarot, which is based off a graphic novel by Jodorowsky and Gimenez. It's kind of like a sci-fi, I'd just say it's like strictly sci-fi, but sort of cyberpunk as well, which I love. And I'm getting, probably for my birthday this year, I'm going to be getting some of his art books and the graphic novels to this, because it's just amazing. And I'm going to be doing a Top Deck Tuesday maybe next week on this, because this deck, I have not heard anything about it except for going to the shop and going, oh, that looks interesting. And it has some really powerful and provoking images, and I think even people who aren't really into sci-fi would kind of gain a lot, especially like if you get a chance to look up the 3 of Swords in this deck. It is fucking amazing. It really gives the 3 of Swords a different perspective about initiation into sacrificing for what you love and what you want out of life, and the sheer fucking power of that was amazing. I drew that card, I think it was just before I was almost basically homeless, and it really like made me look at my shit, and I had to really push forward in my life to be able to get to where I am right now, and it really was powerful. So yeah, definitely check that out. It's an older deck too. The Dragon Tarot, I've been trying to get sort of like pass this on for a while. I don't know, I like it and I get good readings out of it, but it's not exactly my favourite sort of thing, which is weird because, you know, there's not that many decks about specifically for dragons. I had the Celtic Dragon Tarot by Lisa Hunt, and I've pretty much like gotten rid of all her decks because I love the images, but they do nothing for me at all. Like, I don't want to have a deck in my collection that's just pretty. I want to have it usable, because there's no point. So I may try and do another Top Deck Tuesday video about this and see how I go, but it's not looking like it's going to be work in my practice this year. The Deviant Moon Tarot, I don't need to take anything out of that because we all know that I love this deck, and you can see because it's starting to wear and tear on the outside. Thankfully not the cards, but this deck has gotten me through some stories. Oh, that's interesting. Love it. I could never part with this deck. I was going to get the massive guidebook, but it was $70 here, and to be honest with you guys, I love his work and I love his style, but the guidebook didn't really offer me anything that isn't already in the smaller guidebook, except for like larger pictures and some examples of his work. So if I ever see a discounted copy of it, I would pick it up, but I could buy like, you know, 3 or 4 decks for that amount, so or put it into my business to pay my copy editor. So yeah, cool. There's that. Same with the Labyrinth Tarot. Like, I don't use it very often, but when I have, it's like one of the only pip decks that I do have, and I love it because it really does take you there, like in terms of like path working and actually not using like scenic or personable images, but you're just using the pips, but the way that it's created and the way, like the colour and the imagery and the numbers, it just really works. I've wanted to get the dark, what's the other one called? I think it's called the Dark Royo Tarot for a while, but it's not high on my list because I'm actually quite happy with the Labyrinth Tarot, and also the fact that if you guys have followed me for any amount of time, you know that I'm obsessed with labyrinths. So I did my presentation last year on labyrinths, and I think that was like my first high distinction, so I was pretty happy about that. So and I think it'd be interesting to use this with my obsession with Inception as well, because I love dream work and labyrinths as well. So coolio. One of my first tarot decks, the Chrysalis Tarot. And if you guys don't know, there is actually a Facebook group dedicated specifically for this deck. It used to be ran by, I can never pronounce her name properly, but I'm going to say Juliana. She knows who she is. I'll see if I can leave her Instagram account below, but I think it got taken over because there was a lot of sort of drama going on at the end of the year with the whole when Trump got elected, which I don't pay attention to that shit. I ain't got no time. But the group itself is beautiful, very supportive, and when I have posted in there and have followed it, it's really nice to have a dedicated group to a deck. I do know there's a Druidcraft Facebook group, but I haven't really delved into that very much because I tend to just sort of either use Instagram or I chat to my friends personally, so, and we sort of do work together. But this will always be in my collection. This has a lot of good memories. Speeding along, I'll just try and get through the next 6. Wild Unknown, we all know what the Wild Unknown looks like. and I use this deck for my wheel. I have an example of it on my Instagram account where I've created the wheel of the year and how I wanted to interpret that. But I'm also using medicine magic because of the Native American spirits, and I just tend to use like medicine wheels anyway because I'm an elemental witch, so I draw upon those, and I really love it for this fact that this deck can be really taken into any sort of practice that I have done. When I was working with the chakras more heavily, I could use that. Color therapy, lines. It's also, because there's no people in it, it's got the animal energy as well, which